So we're gonna have chapter 2. We are gonna start with the reading of motherfuckingwebsite.com. We didn't plan that, but this is a motherfucking website, and it's fucking perfect. Seriously, what the fuck else do you want? You probably build websites and think your shit is special. You think your 30 megabyte parallax active homepage is going to get you some fucking award banner you can glue to the top corner of your site. You think your 40-pound jQuery file and 83 polyfills give IE7 a boner because it finally has box shadow. Wrong, motherfucker. Let me describe your perfect-ass website. Shit is lightweight and loads fast, fits on all your shitty screens, looks the same in all your shitty browsers. The motherfucker's accessible to every asshole that visits your site. Shit's legible and gets your fucking point across. In brackets, if you had one instead of just 5 MB pics of hipsters drinking coffee. Well, guess what, motherfucker? You are over-designing. Look at this shit. It's a motherfucking website. Why the fuck do you need to animate a fucking trendy-ass banner flag when I hover over that useless piece of shit? You spent hours on it and added 80 kilobytes to your fucking site, and some motherfucker jabbing at it on their iPad with fat sausage fingers will never see that shit. Not to mention blind people will never see that shit, but they don't see any of your shitty shit. You never knew it, but this is your perfect website. Here is why.
It's fucking lightweight. This entire page weighs less than the gradient meshed Facebook logo on your fucking WordPress site. Did you seriously load 100 kilobytes of jQuery UI just so you could animate the fucking background color of a div? You loaded all 7 font faces of a shitty web font just so you could say hi at 100 pixel height at the beginning of your site? You piece of shit. It's responsive. You dumbass. You thought you needed media queries to be responsive, but no. Responsive means that it responds to whatever motherfucking screen size it's viewed on. This site doesn't care if you are on an iMac or a motherfucking Tamagotchi. It fucking works. Look at this shit. You can read it. That is, if you can read, motherfucker. It makes sense. It has motherfucking hierarchy. It's using HTML5 tags so you and your bitch-ass browser know what the fuck's in this fucking site. That's semantics, motherfucker. It has content on the fucking screen. Your site has 3 bylines and link to your Dribble account, but you spread it over 7 full screens and make me click some bobbing button to show me how cool the jQuery scroll to plugin is. Cross-browser compatibility? Load this motherfucker in Internet Explorer 6. I fucking dare you. This is a website. Look at it. You've never seen one before. Like the man who's never grown out his beard has no idea what his true natural state is, you have no fucking idea what a website is. All you have ever seen are shitty, skeuomorphic bastardization of what should be text communicating a fucking message. This is a real, naked website. Look at it. It's fucking beautiful. Yes, this is a fucking satire, you fuck. I'm not actually saying your shitty site should look like this. What I'm saying is that all the problems we have with websites are ones we create ourselves. Websites aren't broken by default. They are functional, high-performing, and accessible. You break them, you son of a bitch. Good design is as little design as possible. From some German motherfucker.
So we just read the motherfucking website. What do we think about it?
Maybe we should give a bit of context.
Yeah.
So we read out loud a website that you can find on motherfuckingwebsite.com. Other side, yes. And this is the printed version of the website. And the website actually looks like that. So it's really default. It's just this default serif typeface, Times New Roman. All the same, it's read like like a text, like a layout default PDF basically. It has bold titles, and the lines are the same width as the page. It's very simple. It's the most default layout you can find actually for a website.
Yeah, and it's like the purpose is just to kind of just print, or like it's focused on leaning on the text as the main content.
So it's basically pure HTML.
Yeah.
With no styling, which means it's really the skeleton of the website that's been shown.
Mm-hmm. What do we think about the tone, actually?
It's harsh.
It's very aggressive, no? It also like makes me think of like the person who made the website.
There's lots of anger.
There's a lot of anger.
Where it comes from.
Which is also kind of like a remark is more coming from this like traditional formats of web development, that this is how web development should be, that kind of really follows this format of the physical publication or like a book. A text should be neat. The more design you do, the more distance you create between content and the user in a way.
Yeah, there's no distraction at all.
Yeah, exactly. But then there's like the content that is there is kind of like very banal in my opinion.
Yeah.
But I don't know, I'm also wondering, like, because a lot of web development today is still built on these ethics. Like, this is kind of like this is how you should build the website. This is also what
this is the origin of the website, is these rules.
Yeah. And this is also what we were taught when we started coding, actually, that, like, it has to be lightweight, responsiveness, of course, it fucking works.
It's accessible as well.
Accessible.
Also for people with disabilities.
Yeah. So this website is mainly leaning on the idea that, kind of promoting the idea that all websites must be lightweight, like there's no tomorrow. And then I'm thinking, well, but most websites are not actually, because actually today most websites use technological complexities. There's a lot of technological complexity underneath. There's a lot of plugins.
But some technological complexities are also made to make the websites more lightweight.
Exactly. So like you need...
But some not. And it's a certain skill.
So already like applying more design. So for example, animation requires another technological or like digital tool that will make that animation light, you know?
Exactly.
So like you need like optimization and everything. So in the end, also like a lightweight website can also apply the technological complexity, especially if it uses like content management system servers. But the last paragraph says, this is a website, look at it, you have never seen one before. That is also kind of like this confusion in web development if you don't have a technically complex website. So like,
it doesn't seem like a real website.
It's not considered as a real website. It's just HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So then you're kind of like, you're not really a web developer if you don't work with complex technologies to deliver certain content. And I do like this point that like this is a website, even though also the same, it was built just like HTML, CSS. I'm sure this person also knows how to work with technically complex tools.
But it's a website because it has a URL, it has a domain name, it's hosted on a server, and it has a simple, just an HTML file. But that makes a website. That's basically the definition of a website.
Exactly. Yeah. But I wonder, why is this like persisting ambiguity about what makes a website? Like, again, we go back to the what is a website, you know? And for us, we clearly define it as memorable ones, that we don't like question this technologies and tools that are being used, but it's not the most important thing about expression.
We're not impressed. And I don't feel impressed by websites that use the newest technologies, the newest, the highest speed.
But actually, can expression be technically complex? You know, like if you talk about creative websites, that you kind of like, you're really so much focused on the content, and there's this like artistic urge, let's say, behind it. Like the previous example, what we saw from How I Experience Web Today. And this is also, to me, can be considered as artistic expression. That's why it's not technically complicated, because it's urgent, you know? That's why we have so many websites in the gutter that are mainly like artistic expression, because they don't use advanced tools to then it's not. Then it ceases to be an expression. I have a
Mhm.
feeling.
Yeah, it's simple tools to make you shift also your perception on the more global web that you are
Yeah.
seeing, you know?
Yeah.
It's like not a footnote, but you know, you scroll, you have all your tabs open, and then you enter one website like that.
Yeah.
It makes you shift your perspective on the rest of the tabs, you know?
Yeah. It's nice, actually, when the website. When the websites are loading, and it also gives brings something to the user experience as well.
Yeah, because we're almost not so used to it anymore.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
I must say I really appreciate slow websites that take forever to load,
Yeah.
and where you like, oh, okay, it's charging, and then you end up opening other tabs and visiting faster websites just to wait for the slow website to unfold, and then you go back at it, and you're like, okay, now it's ready, and you start to fantasize also, oh, what's gonna be on it. It's just another sense. It's another sense of consumption. It's another. You have another relationship with time, you know, when those websites are so slow.
But do you really go back to the slow websites?
Yeah.
Because for me, like, I think that's also why my browser is full of tabs, you know? Because I actually don't go back. I always go forward in the internet.
Yeah, but then comes
Also
this moment
annoying.
where you close the tabs and then you go back at it.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh yeah, shit, this website was so slow. And let's okay, now it's here. Okay, perfect. Now I dedicate my time for it, you know?
Yeah. Another impulse that I have is the inspecting the website when it's slow. I guess it also comes from trying to understand what's wrong with it.
How come is it so slow?
Like, why is it wrong? Or like inspecting the console and if it's giving out any errors. But then I also normally when I inspect the code, I cannot be bothered to find out what's wrong with this website. I'm always like go into the HTML and check out the classes and how do the web developers express, or like how do they classify certain things. I think that's so beautiful to kind of read from web developers if they have their own structure, if they're following like the semantics, you know.
Yeah.
Button is a BTN, but a button can also be a heart, an third eye.
And also like I like to inspect and see the HTML and see if there are some hidden messages, like hidden comments in the code, because you can hide poems, you can hide love letters, you can hide also simple, like usually this tool is made to give instructions. Like, oh, this is how I made it. This is the logic behind.
Or this code does this and stuff like that.
But you can also hide stuff in it, which also can happen. It can happen that it makes the website load much slower, and that could also be a reason.
But isn't that beautiful if a website slows down because of a personal reflection on a website, like from the web developer? I was doing that actually a lot in the first websites that I built. I always say the poem, and then I wouldn't say it to my clients. And then I had to reveal it one day because one client found out or inspected the code and then thanked me for and then thanked me for it. And then I was like, okay, maybe I felt like it could be also a bit intrusive. Depends how the client also takes it, you know. And then I was like, okay, maybe I should inform them about this urge
to put the poem hidden in the code.
Yeah.
And I feel like this word, just the word inspect is quite...
Yeah, that
says something about the language that's being used amongst web developers. Inspect has like this like detective vibe of like, I'm gonna go through your code and find the cracks and
it really feels like looking for mistakes. Exactly. And it's always like when you explore something, you're hunting for mistakes. And actually like that's the problem about a lot of like web developer communities. That's like it's really a race of looking for bugs, but not really about just exploring or like reading each other's code. That can bring so much more than just looking for the bugs.
It's reminded, I mean, because me, I have a background in graphic design, and it reminded me to these graphic designers who inspect books in bookshops or at events.
Maybe that's why they called it inspect, actually.
Yeah.
It all started from the graphic design.
Yeah, maybe. This thing of like taking a book, touching it, smelling it, feeling the paper, and trying to figure out, is it fancy paper? What are the techniques? I mean, it comes out of curiosity, of course, and out of passion. But there is really this thing of dissecting the book and understanding how it's made.
Yeah, like touching, sensing.
If it's handcrafted or if it's manufactured.
Yeah.
And then at the end you have the colophon where you can like really see who made it, how, which typeface, etc. Which led us to try to find similarities between websites and actual publications, because we thought there is a lot of connections.
Yeah, exactly. How to bring it back to the printed matter. So for This Is a Motherfucking Website, we have...
When looking at your book collection at home, we found this one, which is... If you remove the cover...
Then it's like the other
Then
website.
it's really the motherfucking website.
Because this would be a landing page otherwise.
Yeah, we thought because this is promoting, it gives an illustration and more information. So it's more like of a promotion.
Like enter this book.
Yeah, enter this book, open it, like a landing page.
Yeah, but we don't need it because the other one doesn't.
So this, when we looked at it, it really looked like the default book, like almost the emoji book. It has this hardcover. It's just blue. It's thick. It's really like if you think of a book, that's a book.
Yeah, yeah.
Or like, what's your mental image of a book? That's what I would think of. It's like a block like this with a hardcover.
Yeah, and it's very much prioritizing the text.
The legibility of the text.
Yeah, exactly. And maybe it's not like exactly comparable to This Is a Motherfucking Website because that's kind of like one page, one scroll.
Yeah, and it's a manifest, and of course it's different.
But then it does have these elements, what we talked about before, that is like on top of the page, the title of the book, the page number, that can be also remind us of fixed entities on a website, like a menu, a hamburger menu, header, footer, and certain kind of navigation that we can always kind of, if we get lost in the text and we are like, what is this book that I'm reading? You can always come back home kind of and read the title.
Yeah.
So it's very classic, like it's very related to the printed matter, this traditional way of publishing, which is regardless interesting. We have another example.
So this one was great as well.
This would represent a heavy website, but more like looking technically at how it's made.
Because it has this, is it leather or
it's real leather.
Yeah?
Yeah, so it's called...
Plastic imitating leather, which seems also like a complicated technology to me.
Yeah, that's coated.
It's like fake.
Coated leather.
Yeah.
Coated plastic. Coated in leather. And it's a collection of pins. I'm not gonna... Yeah, we just kind of want to refer to the complexities that we can read from what's being inside. So there's a lot of pins, and then first of all there's this like template or like the grid system.
Yeah.
That is the
being repeated with the dots.
Exactly, and there is like 5 of them. So let's imagine that it has 5 pages, like a website, and then
content is being inserted in the grid.
Yeah, this is the grid.
Oh, a surprise!
Ooh. And then we have the holes where you can, that obviously says only pins can fit here. It's really made for
it's
pins.
Really defined for pins.
So then like the pins are defined also for this kind of container. And then there's so many different pins. There are glossy ones, there's matte ones, colorful, colorless.
Round, square.
Yeah, so in this case, like we can think of content as the only changing entity within this container. Just like in websites, actually.
We just thought it was nice to look at a book like we look at the websites.
Yeah, exactly. Conceptual links are the best. And then we have... What do we have?
We wanted,
yeah.
we found also in your collection some more hybrid examples.
So these are the two that we thought is kind of the main, what defines the web infrastructures today, mostly. Like either technically complex or very simple.
Yeah, I mean, there are lots of other examples.
Yeah,
For
true.
example, like those more like artist websites. Like these books that cost that are super expensive because they have 3 different types of paper. They have been printed with offset and another layer of silk screen on top, and it's all super complicated and handcrafted.
Yeah.
I would say this is maybe the top, the top technology.
Yeah.
If we would compare it to to a website.
Yeah.
Because it requires an expertise from different places, from like silk screen, offset, paper, graphic designer, so it's not made out of a template.
Yeah. Well, these are...
And also content, of course.
Yeah. Yeah, this is my old portfolio, printed version. And it's kind of, I think I wanted to make some sort of a purse, but also kind of like a folder. But basically it gives a bit of my experience in the beginning, or my CV, and then again gives like the list of my projects that I created probably during Rietveld. And then you would think that it's only 2 projects, but actually there's more.
Using the default structure, but messing around.
Exactly. So I thought this was a hybrid example in terms of like, I'm going to create an optical illusion in my classification system.
How did you cut the pages? Was it
I
by
did
hand?
it by hand, and you can see that some of them are not cut well. But I kind of like that they're all a bit different.
And you used what kind of paper? Do you remember?
I don't remember.
It's inkjet print,
I guess.
So it's basically you used all the tools from the computer room.
Yeah,
to make
exactly.
It.
What
Plus
was
this?
Yeah, and then this element would be something that's kind of, I don't know, I always kind of like to bring in these linking physical objects that have certain function into the print format. I guess, yeah, it's common. And then you would think that that's the end, but there's up to 13. Yeah, and then at 13 it really ends. And it ends with a play.
Yeah.
And it's funny because our second hybrid example
is from this play.
It's from this play. It's a publication made by Clara Pasteau. Pasteau, sorry.
It's fine. So this was a publication I also made during Rietveld, because I saw Maisa's play with her collective called Skook. So it was a play happening in the Vondelbunker, a bunker in a park in Amsterdam. And I wanted to make a publication about it. So I asked them if I could get access to the script of their play, which did I really have access to it? I think I could only consult it in your classroom.
Yeah.
You gave me some rules, some conditions, and I had to sign a contract saying that I would not take out of your classroom any material, basically. And
so it was limited access to the
of
script.
course, restrictions all the time. So I took pictures of the script, and already very ironic at this time. You can't read anything from the pictures.
Yeah.
They're too small. And you signed with a ha-ha-ha signature. And then finally the script of the play. So it's also like a sort of...
This was actually the interview, not the script, because we also had an interview.
Actually,
you see, like Clara spoke.
Yeah, now I remember.
But I love how you made...
It was not the script. I could never have access to the script. It was just all this like mystery around the script. But more I was
Yeah.
more asking about the play itself, and
Yeah.
and then if you wanted to read the script, you should go see the play, basically.
Yeah. Which was not
possible
happening
because you
anymore.
only did it once.
But I really also like the thing about that play was that it was only meant to be organized once, and also for the occasion of Uncut in Rietveld as a reaction. And this publication also came as that gesture, you
Yeah,
know,
as a
that it was
reaction
kind of
to-
like, let's you basically made the publication of your encounter with us and not a representation of our play.
Yeah, not a
you know?
literal
And I really,
translation.
yeah, and also like what I like about it is that if we think of this as the homepage of the website, that it keeps on changing. Like you can
Yeah.
have this to be the homepage, you can have the script to be the homepage, but still, what I appreciate the most is this context. You know, that it kind of it describes an encounter, not a presentation, which actually most web development is based on today. Which also, like, that's kind of like the idea of hybridity here of us. That's also like, I think we agreed so many times that websites can also just be made for one situation
Yeah.
encounter, and that can also be a web developer's encounter with a certain institution, and not like, okay, followed by the book and reading. It can also be an interpretation of the institution that they're working with, for example.
Exactly.
Or the book that they're reading. Or
Yeah, it can be
the
a
product
response and
as
not a
well.
digital translation of something.
Yeah, exactly.
Which I think is it's actually really interesting when this happens. When you have a physical event, for example, and then you have a digital presence that functions together with the physicality.
Yeah. And we have one more example. The most radical example today is a little portrait of my father.
In a frame.
In a frame.
Metallic frame.
Metallic frame.
I could really see a website out of this one.
Yeah.
Straight
exactly.
away. I'm glad he made it till here.
Yeah, exactly. And then, yeah, so also like if I think about this object, well, it has such a small function that it's just meant to host a very specific media file. So cute. And then it has, you can deconstruct it as well. So it could actually end up being a very complicated website if you consider all of the details that this object has, you know?
Yeah.
So, but then it can also be like a very flat, very simple
technology behind.
Just like, okay, like let's make a frame on top of an image that is just like basically a stack in the interface.
And it's a bit like, for example, I found this object on your shelf.
Yeah.
And you told me, every time I look at it, I'm happy or something. Or
yeah,
something a
I'm
bit deeper than that. But I feel something, a positive emotion.
Yeah.
Anyway. Or something maybe more nostalgic. And at the same time, it's also a funny clash having your serious dad's face in a heart.
Yeah, exactly.
It has
but you
something
also
really charming.
Made this remark that why can't a website be like a little love letter, you know?
Exactly.
And why not make a website for somebody as an appreciation gesture?
That you go visit just like once a week or once a month, and it's just
that it can also be like personal exchange between two. It doesn't have to be like asking for global audience and users, you know?
Yeah.
So shall we have a little break?